living in Taiwan keeps me poor, which I know sounds like a ridiculous thing to say, especially if you're Taiwanese, but first, I just kind of have to... Okay, so, I know what a lot of Taiwanese people are thinking, because a lot of people here think that foreigners are rich because we make more money than Taiwanese people do for doing the same job. So we have to talk about what money means to different people, and also the cultural differences before we get into how Taiwan is actually keeping me poor. So if we compare me to my CT, my co-teacher who I work with every day in the same classroom with the same kids all day long, she has the same job as me, but even more responsibility. She has to clean the classroom, she has to take care of the kids when they go to the bathroom when they were younger, she has to communicate with the parents, all things that I don't have to do in my job. Yet, she makes about half as much as I do. Yet, she also has 2 kids, 2 cars, and a house. I don't. So how is it that she makes half as much but has way more things than I do? Well, this comes down to how money works culturally. It's pretty different. You see, in Taiwanese culture, typically speaking, this isn't true for everybody, I'm not going to speak for my CT either because I don't know her situation, but typically speaking, families will pool their resources together and buy a house for the younger people. So like if you're getting married and you need a house, your parents will probably help you along with that. Same thing with a car, anything else you need. If your parents have the money, they'll help you out with it. Western culture doesn't quite work like that. Now everybody's different in the West, but my parents raised me so that if I want something, I have to work for it. They're not gonna buy me a house or a car or anything really. To most Western parents, that's ridiculous. My parents didn't pay for my college tuition. Anything I wanted, I had to work for. In fact, they even charged me rent to live in my own house when I graduated high school. Some Western parents will help you out, but for the most part, what you want, you have to work for it. So before you go thinking that I have a ton of money because I'm a foreigner and I make twice as much as a Taiwanese person doing the same job, it's just me. I don't have any support like a lot of Taiwanese people do. So slightly off topic, but stick with me here for a minute, because if you don't find this funny, then there's something seriously wrong with you. I went to Carrefour because apparently they sell this toy, which raps about cocaine and depression in Polish. So one of the things we can get out of the way is lifestyle choices. Like I'm currently making a grilled cheese sandwich, one of the cheapest things you could ever make, and it still cost me 2,000 NT. So I just make my life expensive. I mean, I just bought a Polish rapping children's toy that raps about cocaine for a laugh. So obviously there's decisions that I made to keep myself poor that are not Taiwan's fault, but I just wanted to get that out of the way before anyone comments down below about how dumb I am about buying stupid shit. So what's going on? I mean, obviously I live a little bit of an expensive lifestyle. That keeps me poor, but there's things about Taiwan specifically that stops me from earning money. Let's see if this $2,000 sandwich was worth that. Damn, they're perfect. You know, I was gonna order a coffee, but it's so nice out, I think I'll go and get one from the local 7-Eleven and magically grow my beard and magically change my clothes. Totally didn't mess up the schedule for this shot. I didn't know about stocks or trading or funds, like mutual funds or index funds or anything like that up until like a few months ago when people started telling me about it with the rise of like Bitcoin and stuff, which I know has been going on for a long time, but it's not something that I was ever really aware of. I didn't know about investing. Recently, I've been fortunate enough to finally save a little bit of money from YouTube ad revenue, which all just gets dumped into a Canadian savings account, doing nothing except losing value from inflation, which sucks. I should be putting that money into an index fund or some kind of stock market in Canada, but I can't because I don't live there. Again, not Taiwan's fault, but I'm not able to invest in the Canadian stock market with a tax-free savings account because I'm not a resident of Canada. And that is a huge loss for me. I'm basically unable to generate money long-term because of that. Could invest in the Taiwanese stock market, but I think a lot of people have some issues with that. If you invest in the stock market in the West, typically speaking, you're always gonna make money. And I know this is getting a little bit too financial, a little bit boring. I don't wanna bore anybody with financial stuff, but you're gonna make money if you invest in the stock market in the long run. Pretty much, you know, especially with an index fund. There's no way you're gonna lose all your money, like if everything drops to zero. If like a bomb drops on the West and money becomes worthless, or basically you're gonna be wiping your bum with dollar bills because money has no more value, that like the chances of that happening are so low in the West, and so you may as well just go invest in the stock market. Here in Taiwan, it's a different story. We have a relatively hostile neighbor to the north, which kind of puts a lot of strain on the stock market, a lot of questions on the stock market. It's not as confidence inspiring. Although I could invest in the Taiwanese stock market, it's not something that I know that I'm confident in doing. Not saying also that China's gonna attack at any moment. It's just, you know, it's something to think about, I guess. That's so good, I'm so tired. All of these things combined keeps me behind other people. I'm behind Taiwanese people because I don't have a family to support me, and I'm behind Western people because my salary compared to a Western salary isn't very much. I make about $60,000 a month for my teaching salary. That's after taxes. That's barely even minimum wage in the West. So if I were to save any real money for use in the West, I couldn't. I mean, you've probably heard this a ton of times, but it's true. If you're a college student who's drowning in debt, yeah, you could probably pay it off because living expenses are still pretty low. But if you're actually looking to gain your wealth, to increase your wealth, Taiwan might not be a good option because the cost of living in Taiwan continues to increase, but salaries have stagnated. They haven't moved. As an individual, it's so hard to increase your wealth. That's why individual people here in Taiwan have a difficult time affording to buy a house. They have to band together in order to do that. Oh man, it's just too nice out to stay inside, but Alan's got a new apartment, so I wanted to go check it out real quick. Can you go inside and answer the door so it looks like I just met you?
Oh, okay.
Thanks. Hey, buddy.
Morning, Mark.
Are you ready to meet our new friend?
How much is that?
I don't know, probably too much. People want to name him Cox. Cox. It's cocaine apparently in Polish.
Is it?
So this is the new place, eh? Nice and big, nice and large. That's the whole house tour, by the way.
You shoot a wide angle.
It makes it look bigger. Are there any ways that you feel like Taiwan is keeping you poor or making you lose money?
Oh, that's a difficult one because...
Fuck.
What?
I'm in the mirror. There we go.
Oh.
Anyways.
I probably could work more in Taiwan, but I really value the work and happiness balance kind of thing, work-life balance. Lots of things I could do to earn more money. One thing we mentioned was merch. I'm not sure if that would work in Taiwan. I think compared to like a Western market, I'm not sure Taiwanese people go for merch as much as they...
You never see people walking around with like band t-shirts, or if they are, they don't even know it's a band. Let's find out. Comment down below. If Alan released a merch line, would you purchase it?
There's a really difficult balance between cost of living and income compared to back in England. I think my position, I'd be in a more higher level of promotion of work if I'd stayed in England, but I would be spending so much more money. I've got a friend who's a doctor. He's like a high-level doctor now. He earns £4,000 or £5,000 a month, but he literally goes to zero every month.
From taxes, or something.
After mortgage, taxes, car payments, kids' education, food, and he just can't believe it. Back to answer the question, very simply, does Taiwan keep me poor? It gives me such a nice, comfortable life that I can stay poor by choice very easily. And I'm not poor. This is what I want to say. Like, I love to talk about the negative sides of life in Taiwan, and I've mentioned it in a few other videos, and people are like, man, you're just in a rut, you just need to work harder. And I'm like, I'm fine. Like, I'm completely happy.
Yeah, look at
fine.
this mansion you're in, dog.
It's baller, right? I'm not rich. I'm definitely not poor, but I'm just doing enough to give myself a happy life. And what's wrong with that?
What more could you ask for? Who could ask for more? Anyways, despite all these things sort of keeping me poor in a way, which is not really stopping me from growing my wealth, I still really love living in Taiwan, and I don't think that's gonna change for a while. Also, fun challenge. Name my cactus Polish rapping children's toy about cocaine thing. If you guys want to know how I made this video, you can check that out over on Patreon. If you want to catch me on my day-to-day life, you can follow me on Instagram at prosy_SR. I'm gonna enjoy my coffee and the rest of this gorgeous day, and I'll catch you guys on the next one.